Hey folks, this is Mary. Welcome back to my channel. So today we have another episode of Swatching Sundays. So I have my ink rack, and this is where we left off last time. This is Monteverde Ruby. So here's where we are in the rack. So we started here and we've been going across the rows. So we're almost to the end of this rack. So I think I counted correctly and there are 14 samples left. So I think I might try to finish the rack today and do 14 samples. So we'll see how we do, but I need less talking and more swatching, so we can get some swatching done. Excuse me. So I do have my lovely cup of water from Grateful Meadows, and I also have my giant cup of coffee. Let me see if you guys can see that. It says "Stay-at-home dog mom," which is my fondest wish. I would love to be a stay-at-home dog mom. Unfortunately, on most days, I have to go to work. So I have a latchkey dog. If any of you remember that term from a few decades ago, latchkey kids. Were any of you latchkey kids? For the most part, I was not. My mother was a stay-at-home mom most of the time. Occasionally, she would have a part-time job, but I was lucky to have somebody at home when I got home from, I almost said when I got home from work. When I got home from school, my mom was usually there. Okay, so our first ink for today is Pelikan Edelstein Mandarin, and it's very light looking. So we'll see how it comes out on paper. I always think it's interesting to hear how people pronounce different words. I'm a word person, you know me. And I hear some people say pelican, like it's the bird, pelican, the way we say it in English. And I hear some people say pelican or pelican. And then Edelstein, I hear Edelstein or Edelstein, which I think it's a very German sounding pronunciation, but they are a German company, so that makes sense. And this is Mandarin. The ink kind of doesn't want to come off of the glass nib. And I do have a fresh cup of water today, but my towel is getting a bit used. So I might need to get a fresh towel at some point. I don't want to reactivate the ink with my wet nib and then just put more ink back on the nib than I'm taking off. Alrighty. So, and I am using a previously used Q-tip because waste not, want not. So, let's see what this looks like. Wow, that is really light. And it feels kind of dry, too. It's like it doesn't really want to come off of the Q-tip. And I've heard that Pelikan inks are pretty dry, and this does seem pretty dry. And you could see I'm squeezing my Q-tip, and I am not getting any kind of drip. But I need to have my drip, so let's try this again. Woo, goodness. That ink is just sticking like glue to the Q-tip. Alright, well, I got a few little blobs so we can see what they look like when they dry. Alright, and I need to set him aside to dry. Alright, so there is one down, and I was just thinking that that might be a good ink to do some orange swatching with. Excuse me. Goodness, I'm so excited about my inks. I'm all choked up today. But I've been thinking about doing some orange swatches for fall. So we're moving into September, which is not quite fall where I live. Fall doesn't usually come till about, November. Maybe not quite that bad. But the temperature has dropped about 10 degrees here, which I am so happy about. It's terrible to head to work and it's 90 degrees at 9 o'clock in the morning. But it's getting better now, so come on, fall, you can't get here soon enough. Anyway, this is Noodler's Cayenne. And this is another one that I am wondering if I have a bottle of. Good heavens! I know I have Habanero, and I have Apache Sunset. I'm going to go check and see if I have Cayenne. So I will be right back. Okay, I'm back again. I just wanted to make sure, because I have a terrible habit of buying a sample and not using it, and then buying a bottle. But I just have Apache Sunset and Habanero. So, pardon me while I have a sip of coffee. And let's get a swatching. You know, the more I play around with inks, the more fascinated I become with ink mixing. And I don't know. I'm having fun mixing inks that other people have made, but I think it would be so fascinating to make my own ink. I mean, I love all the Noodler's inks. There's so much variety in them. And then I look at inks like Troublemaker inks, which are amazing. I mean, how can you get an ink to shade in 2 or 3 different colors? It's just unbelievable. How do they do that? And of course, they're not going to give away their trade secrets because they're trade secrets. But I just think it would be fascinating to try to make my own ink. And I saw a video with Pens and Tea, and she had gotten an ink block. And it's, I think it's Japanese. It's, you know, it originated in Japanese culture. And you get this block of ink and you kind of scrape it into a bowl with water and you mix up your own ink. And then you would use it for brush lettering and stuff like that. So really fascinating. Oh my goodness. This is like a fire engine orange. That is super bright. All right, now come here. Whatever you think about Noodler's inks, you have to admit they are vivid. Okay, I need more of a drip than that. And I think they're really well known for being really saturated and for having lots of shading, but not a lot of sheening. I've only run across a couple of inks that were good sheeners. And I think those were Midnight Blue and Baltimore Canyon Blue. But if you have noticed any sheen on any other Noodler's inks, please share. I'd love to know. Wow, that is amazing. And I see some shading in my lettering up here. Ooh. Yep, I definitely need to do an orange swatching video when we get closer to fall. All right, next up we have Lamy Obsidian. Again, I'm thinking I'm thinking I have a bottle of this one, but I'm going to go ahead and swatch it. I'm pretty sure I got this from Endless Pens. They were having a crazy sale on the Lamy Crystal ink. And I had just, goodness, did I clean that well enough? I had just seen the obsidian ink on Chris Saenz' channel. She was writing with it, and it just looked so complex and interesting, not just a flat black. So it was on sale. I was interested. So I got a bottle of it. Now, honestly, I really enjoy Noodler's Heart of Darkness, so I don't know how much use I will get out of a bottle of black ink, but I have it. So, oops, I have a terrible time making M's and N's and U's, any letters with the bumps in them. I either make too many bumps or too few bumps. Obsidian. It's certainly dark. Which is good for a black ink to be, right? I think I had was it a sample of a Monteverde ink? Oh, it might have been this one. Midnight Black. Yeah, on the swatch card, it just looked really gray. So we'll see how this one does on the swatch card. All right. Ooh. Yes, that is looking very dark, very black. Black, but with some other things going on. Did we get a drip? Not really, a little bit. A little bit of a drip. Woo. Now I can't remember if the Lamy Crystal inks are tending towards the dry or tending towards the wet. But it seemed to flow on the card pretty well. But there's some interesting shading going on in there. I see some hints of green, maybe. Some grayish green in there. Very interesting. So, if you're looking for a black that's not just a plain old black, this one might be a good ink for you. But I think I've mentioned before, when I use a black ink, I just want black, black, black. Super black, like a black hole. And I really have to say, I love the names of inks. Okay, this is Bunga Box 4B. And this came from Pen Chalet. Oh, and I forgot to mention where these came from. I think they were both from Goulet. So Obsidian came from Goulet, and I'm pretty sure I got a sample of the Crystal line, and then the Cayenne came from Goulet too. I love the sample sets at Goulet, where you can buy all of a particular line, or you can buy inks with the same property, like sheening or shading or shimmering. I just love their sample sets. Except, I haven't checked their website recently, but they didn't... I don't want to say the wrong thing here. I think what they stopped having was the staff sample sets. Like Brian had a set, and Rachel had a set, and Drew had a set. A different Brian. I got two different Brian sets. I got Brian Goulet, and then a different Brian had a set. But they still have their sample sets by property or brand. Pardon me while I have a sip of coffee. And I hope I'm not slurping too loud. I hate it when people slurp on camera. Oh, not to get too far off on a tangent, but we have a fast food restaurant around here called Hardee's, and I think they're pretty much all around the country. Although, I think out west, are they called Charles Jr.? I can't remember. Anyway, I digress. But they have these commercials with all of these chewing, slurping sounds, and I hate them. I have to change the channel or mute it or something because I can't stand that sound. So, if I'm slurping on camera, I will be sure to mute that when I'm editing the video. But I am just really far off topic. So this is Bunga Box 4B, and this came from Pen Chalet. And I got these samples a while back. I don't know, at least a year ago. And I want to say they were about, I think they were about $5, which is a lot for a sample, but I don't see myself buying one of their bottles anytime soon because a whole bottle of ink is like $50. And I just wanted to try them. But then right after I got them, the price went up to, I think it went up to about $7 a sample. So I was glad I got these when I did, but then I looked just recently, and I think they're back down to $5. So I guess maybe it was a supply issue, you know, supply and demand. Let's see, this is Bungabox, which is a really fun name to say, or some people say Bungbox. I like Bungabox. I think that has more of a ring to it. And this is 4B Blue. Whoop. Oh, I have the worst time making E's on these cards. Blue Black. So I'm pretty sure that Bungabox is a stationery store, a pen store in Japan. But I wonder what that means, because for some reason it makes me think of something Australian. Bungabox. I mean, that for some reason it just sounds Australian to me. So I don't know. I don't know much about the pen culture in Australia other than Robert Auster. So I wonder what the pen shops in Australia are called, if they have some big ones. Woo! I can see that color coming out. Oop, I better get in frame. See that color coming out already. Wow. It is a super dark black, but oh, whoops. Had a little extra flare on that one. It's a really dark blue, but it has that kind of undertone of gray to it. It's really pretty. It's almost a really dark teal. Ooh, and I know I'm not doing ink comparisons on these videos, I'm just doing swatching, but I just want to get my cards out and see what other cards I have that look like this one. But I think that's going to dry really beautifully. And I was swapping comments with somebody. I don't remember who it was, but I just thought it would be really fun to do kind of a trip around the country or even around the world to visit some of the famous pen stores out there. All right, this is Diamine Kelly Green. Can you see that? Diamine Kelly Green. And this came from Goulet Pens. But there's so many places I would love to go, either pen manufacturers like Lamy. I don't even know if they do public tours. I know, I think the Goulets and the Andersons both have been to some different pen manufacturers and made videos about them, but they're kind of a special case. I mean, they have business relationships with these companies, but I don't know about the companies doing public tours, although it would be wonderful if they did. So this is Diamine Kelly Green. And this was another of my attempts to find a green to match my Yoda pen. And this is a nice green, but it just wasn't the green of the Yoda pen. It's it's not Yoda green, it's Kelly green. All right, and I think on the Goulet Q&A videos, some people have asked about the Goulets doing tours, which they don't. They don't have a store, a commercial, a retail shop. They just have their warehouse and their offices, and they don't do tours or anything like that for the public. But we are an obsessed lot, aren't we? We pen and ink lovers. So we just want to go everywhere and see everything. And I just keep thinking, I'm right down the street, practically, just a couple hours away from the Goulets, and I just keep thinking, you know, they need to do curbside pickup, so I could just order something and then pop up there and pick up my package. Wow, that is just not dripping at all. Woo. Well, all right, that's going to be interesting when it dries. It is a nice bright green, though. Okay. But ever since I've had this thought about visiting pen shops, I keep going over a list of them in my mind. Here we have Diamine Apple Glory, yet another of my Yoda Green attempts. And I actually think on one of Brian Goulet's videos, he was talking about green inks. And I just went to their website and went to the swab shop and looked at all the pale greens and ordered a bunch of them. And did he say that Apple Glory was their most popular light green, or it was his favorite light green? I can't remember. But when I first got it, I got way too much ink on the on the nib here. It wasn't my favorite. So let's see what I think about it now. Diamine Apple Glory. Not bad, not bad. So the question I was trying to get around to is, what is your favorite pen shop or pen-related place you would like to visit? Ooh, that is super bright. This is kind of like a Jolly Rancher. But nice and wet. Ooh, it just ran all the way down. So, okay, I know I just did the Kelly Green, but I have to look at them. Interesting. This one's definitely much more yellow, but I think I like that one better. But I think Meadow, the Diamine Meadow, was probably my favorite of the greens that I got. Okay. Let's see, who is next? And some of these don't have labels on them. I really need to be labeling them, but I don't have my labels nearby. So that will just have to wait for another time. All right, this is Diatramentis Dante Alighieri. Oh my goodness, I have to tell you guys a story. I used to work at Barnes & Noble. I loved working at Barnes & Noble, probably my favorite job ever. And one of my former coworkers, Ashley, may or may not be listening, so hi Ashley. I miss Barnes & Noble. But anyway, oh, I need to make sure that I spell everything correctly. Diatramentis Dante. And Alighieri is always a little bit tricky. So let's see. G-H-I-E-R-I. So I was working at Barnes & Noble, and this young woman came in, and she said she was looking for a funny book about hell, and she needed it for a school assignment. And I was thinking, a funny book about hell? And she said, yeah, it was written a long time ago, like in the 70s. A funny book about hell that was written in the 70s. And the only thing I could think of was The Divine Comedy. And I said, is it The Divine Comedy by Dante? And she said, yes, that's it. I said, well, it wasn't written in the 70s. It was written, what, in like the 1200s? But she didn't seem to understand the difference, so I just got her book for her, and she went along her merry way. Oh my goodness, I will never forget that. A funny book about hell, written in the 70s. Wow. Well, you think, Dante, you think the Inferno. And this would not be what I would think of when I thought about the Inferno. I mean, this is kind of a berry color. This is a bright, happy color. Not like, you know, the Fires of Hell. It's very pretty though. Wow. So I wonder what their thinking was when Diatramentis came up with this color. But I really like that. Very interesting. Okay, so I'm still trying to get back to my original question. If you could go anywhere and visit anyone, where would you like to go and who would you like to visit? Here we have Diamine Syrah, and this is also from Goulet Pens. And of course, I am very lucky here to have 3 pen stores within driving distance. And they're all fairly small, just little local shops. I think Pen Lovers Paradise sells stuff online, but the other 2 just sell in person. They're just brick and mortar stores, I believe. I hope I'm not saying something incorrect. Ooh, this ink smells very interesting. I thought it would be really fun to do a video about different pen-related smells, but I don't even know how I would accomplish that because, you know, this is just a visual medium. There's no way to explain smells to people, but many aspects of fountain pens do have really interesting smells. Some are good and some are bad. But anyway, so I would love to go to Farney's in DC. In fact, I've been by there twice when I just happened to be in DC, but they were closed on both occasions, unfortunately. And there's a Mont Blanc store in Tyson's Corner up in DC too, and I would just love to go be amongst the Mont Blanc pens. I can't afford to buy one yet, but I just want to go commune with them for a while. I'm sure the shop people will think I'm a complete weirdo, but I'm okay with that. Okay, coffee break. And I see a lot of people doing videos about their orders from Yoseka Stationery, which is in New York. I think it's in Queens. I think that would be a really fun place to go. And now that I know about the ink bar at Drum Ghouls, oh my goodness, I want to go to the ink bar. So I'm going to have to plan a trip to Texas just to go to Drum Ghouls and play in the ink bar. And I don't know if there are any other pen shops around there. So if I did happen to plan a trip to Texas to go to Drum Ghouls, if I could hit any other places around there. Van Ness is in Arkansas, but maybe if I drove, I could hit Van Ness on the way out and go to Drum Ghouls and maybe swing through Chicago and go to the Anderson pen shop on the way back. Although I don't know if if their Chicago store is open yet. But I believe the Wisconsin store is open currently. All right, well that is looking like a really nice burgundy. Let's see. And then there are so many amazing pen manufacturers, but again, I don't think they are open to the public in any capacity. This is Colorverse Light On Series from Goulet Pens. Because I think there's, I know Edison, goodness, who are some of the other American manufacturers? There's somebody that's in North Carolina, which isn't too far from me. Shoot, I can't think of his name. Oh well, I'll have to look it up and put it in the comments below. Ooh, wouldn't it be fun if we could put together a map of all of the pen shops and the pen businesses and different landmarks and things? Well, I think my camera just cut out on me, so we are continuing on. So this is Colorverse Light On Series, and I don't know at what point it cut out, but I was just talking about we should put together a map of all of the pen-related things. So if you're ever out and about, like if you're out on a business trip, you can look at this map and say, hey, I can go to this pen shop, or hey, I can call up this pen maker and talk about a pen or something. I think that would be so cool. And I know there are several really big stationery stores in Japan. Of course, I would love to go to Japan for many reasons, but if I ever get there, I absolutely have to go to at least one of the big stationery stores there. And I know that Pure Pens has a brick and mortar counterpart. Get a little drip going here. Ooh, that is it's not a light pink. I wanted to say it's a light pink, but it's not light. But it's it seems like a lighter version of Dante Alighieri. I just can't help myself. I have to do a little comparing. So, yeah, they're kind of different sides of each other. But the brick and mortar version of Pure Pens is Niche Pens in Wales. And I don't know if Cult Pens has a physical shop or not. And then, of course, there's Lamy. And I think there are Lamy stores in Germany. And I've seen pictures of them, and you walk in, and it's just a giant wall of safaris. It looks amazing. Okay, this is Kaweco Ruby Red, and this came from my ink journal flight. Just the one and only ink flight that I've ever purchased. And those, of course, were all Kaweco inks. And again, I don't know much about the fountain pen, what do you call it, the fountain pen industry in Australia. I mean, I know about Robert Oster inks, but is there a Robert Oster store there somewhere? I don't know, but I would love to go there. Oh my goodness, if I could go in a place and just see all of the Robert Oster inks spread out on a wall, I think I might cry from joy. Well, that's a nice looking color. Let's see. Whew, my poor paper towel. I am putting it through its paces, but that's what towels are for. And I see some pen manufacturers on Instagram. They make beautiful pens, but I'm not exactly clear on how you order from them. I think they're very small and they're just getting started. Gosh, now I can't think of any of the ones I've seen recently. One of them was like the Backyard Shed. Something about a shed pens, something like that. Those were very cool. And I remember going to the pen show up in Baltimore, the only pen show that I've been to, and they had rows and rows of pen blanks. It was basically chunks of resin or acrylic that you could purchase to make pens out of. And just like I think it would be really cool to make my own ink, I think it would be really cool to make a pen. But I think those skills are a little bit out of my reach. I don't know much about tools or machinery, and I think you have to have a lot of those skills in order to turn a rod of acrylic into a pen. All right, who do we have next? This is Kaweco Sunrise Orange. Let's see. We've got some interesting oranges in this group. It looks kind of, I don't want to say muddy, but not like a clear orange. The one that we had earlier, the ink was really clear looking. And again, I have to wonder, since I've had these inks for a while, is it possible that some of them are going bad? Or is this how this ink normally looks? I don't know. Quellaveco Sunrise Orange. So this is kind of a darker orange, like maybe a burnt orange. Let's see. Oh wow, it's looking very brownish. And my fingers are looking very inky. Very interesting. All right, we're getting down to the end. Just a few more and we will be done with rack number 1. Well, my goodness, that's very exciting. All right, this is Diamine Merlot, also from Goulet Pens. And I think this is probably my oldest group of inks. So just about all of these are from Goulet. And then I have a few of those ink journal samples in here, but when we start getting into the other racks, we will see some different people. Of course, that Bunga Box ink came from Pen Chalet. Diamine Merlot. I enjoy a nice Merlot myself from time to time. In fact, I'm planning to go on vacation soon, and I will be enjoying some different wines. And I am quite looking forward to it. Let's see. Get my Q-tip. Wow, that is a really dark kind of burgundy brown. Interesting. And no drip. Let's see. Just a teeny little drip. All right. This is Noodler's Bernanke Black, which came from Goulet. And I'm not sure why I got this one. It must have been a part of a sample set. Because I've mentioned before, I have that giant bottle of Heart of Darkness, and number one, I'm happy with the ink, and number two, it's a really big bottle, and it's going to take me a long time to use it, so I really don't need to buy any other black inks. So this is Noodler's, make sure I spell this right, Bernanke Black. And I forget what the property of this is. The ink on the nib looks really thick. Is that focusing? It's not like watery ink. It's more like, I don't know, paint. So maybe this is a permanent ink or a document safe ink. I do know that it has some kind of special property, but I don't remember what that is. I want to say it's waterproof in some way. But let's see how dark it is, because that's the property that I look for most in a black ink. we got a little drip out of it. Well, it's not seeming terribly black to me. Because it's drying pretty quickly. Oh, maybe that's what its property is. Maybe it dries quickly. Or maybe it has more than one property. But it seems to be drying pretty quickly and lightening up as it dries. All right, so I'm running out of places to put my swatch cards so they can dry. All right, here is our final ink for this rack. And this is Monteverde Moonstone. Ooh. Isn't Moonstone the Edelstein ink of the year, I believe? And again, a moonstone is a stone that I'm not familiar with. I'll have to look that up and see what it looks like. But obviously it must be brown. Ooh, this ink just doesn't want to come out, and I don't want to dump it on the table. Okay, probably too much ink on the nib. Let's see. Monteverde Moonstone. I was posting something on Instagram the other day. It was a Monteverde ink, and the spell check was helping me out, and it spelled Monteverde with an I at the end. And what else did it change? It changed the name of the ink. I don't remember what it said, but I had to go back and fix it because it really bugged me. Sometimes spell check is helpful, and sometimes it's very annoying. Ooh. This is a very interesting brown. Now, would we call that a khaki brown, maybe? All right. Well, that is the end of rack 1. I can't believe we made it. And I think this video is going to be really, really long because we're not quite done yet. I'm going to set these cards aside to dry, and we are going to come back and see how they look. So hang on, and I will be with you in just a second. All right, so I am back, and I have cleaned up my area a little bit, and we are just going to very quickly go back over our swatches for today. So we have Pelican Edelstein Mandarin, and remember this one I could not get a drip out of it, so we just have some little blobs, and hopefully I've got room enough for all of these. Next we have Noodler's Cayenne, and that is so pretty. It's a really deep dark orange. Actually, I have an ink called Deep Dark Orange, so some comparisons in the future. And then we have Lamy Obsidian, and this was that interesting black color. And there is a little bit of sheen there. Can you see that? So it's not just a plain old black, it's an interesting looking black. I like that. It has kind of a greenish undertone to it. And here is Bunga Box 4B. And this has a lot of sheen. Let's see if we can see the sheen. So kind of a deep red sheen on this one. And just, again, for comparison's sake, these are both really dark colors, but this one's more of a bluish color, and this one's kind of greenish. It's not advertised as like a greenish black or anything like that, but to me it does look green. And they have different kinds of sheen on them. This one's kind of a, I don't know, kind of a silvery brown sort of, and then this one is red. So very nice darker colors. And then we have Diamine Kelly Green. This is a very light, bright green. And again, he didn't want to drip very much either. don't feel like those are straight. Are they straight? It's hard to tell. Let's see, I'm trying to make enough space to fit everybody in. And then we have Diamine Apple Glory. Another pretty green, but kind of a different shade of green. I would say this is more towards a jade green. Now it seems much brighter in person than it does on camera. Let's see if I can show you a different shade of that. No, not really. It's coming out really light on camera, but in person it's much darker. And I think I'm going to run out of space for all these guys, but that's okay. Here is Diamine Syrah. And that's sort of a, I don't know, a light burgundy, would we call that? And it has a bit of sheen to it, kind of a greenish sheen. And then we have Dante Alighieri. That's a really bright berry color. And I don't see any sheen to it, but it's just such a pretty color. I really like that. And then we have Colorverse Lights on Series, which to me seems like a lighter version of Dante Alighieri. Again, I don't see any sheen on this one, but still a pretty color. And if I had to choose one, I would choose the Dante Alighieri. And here is Kaveco Ruby Red. So we had several similar colors in a row. And again, I think I would go with the Dante Alighieri, but Ruby Red is pretty close. They're pretty similar. But I think I still like the Dante Alighieri better. Let's see, what else do we have? Here is Kaveco Sunrise Orange. And that is kind of a muddy looking orange, a mustardy orange with that really interesting darker shading to it. And then we have Monteverde Moonstone. Again, an interesting brown. I don't see any sheen. And then I've got two more. I don't think they're going to fit on here. Let's see. Here is Diamine Merlot. Oh, well, kind of close to Moonstone. This one's a bit redder and this one's a bit browner. That's interesting. So, what if I just put him right there? And then finally we have Noodler's Bernanke Black. And I'll have to look up his properties and see what he has going on. I want to say it's quick drying or permanent or maybe both. I can't remember. But not as deep dark of a black as I would like. And speaking of black, since we have Obsidian right here, I think Obsidian might be a little bit darker. But I haven't tested any of these for water fastness, and I'm guessing the crystal ink is not water fast at all. But this Noodler's one, I'm thinking that it is. So depending on what you're looking for in your ink, that might be something that you would want to go for. All right, so those were our 14 swatches today. That's a heck of a lot of swatches. But we finished rack 1. And only a few more racks to go, but we will get all of my samples swatched eventually. So I hope you enjoyed this, and if you did, don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you again soon, probably for my 30 purple ink 30 days video. So stay tuned for that one, and I will see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.